The river flowed silently under the cloak of the night, its inky waters concealing an unspeakable horror. An unsuspecting man walking his dog by the river's edge stumbled upon something that should have remained hidden in its depths. As his eyes widened in disbelief, a guttural scream tore through the stillness of the night, echoing off the trees and disturbing the tranquility of the village. Suddenly, like gruesome apparitions emerging from the river's abyss, the lifeless bodies of men began to surface, carried by the unforgiving current. Their pale, bloated faces stared lifelessly into the void, their cold, unseeing eyes bearing witness to the horrors they had endured. But the tale of terror began days earlier when a group of friends, George, Alex, and Matt, successful businessmen, had gathered at a dimly lit bar on the outskirts of the village. Their pockets were heavy with the spoils of a lucrative deal, a new construction project that promised to bring them even greater wealth. Amid the flickering candlelight, they reveled in the lively atmosphere, their laughter and clinking glasses a testament to their success. With each drink, their voices and laughter grew louder, and their inhibitions faded away like smoke in the night. As the hours passed and the night deepened, the group of friends fueled by alcohol and arrogance found themselves entangled in a web of lust and desire. The women who had also sought refuge in the dimly lit establishment were the objects of their lustful pursuits. These men, too drunk to care about decency or empathy, were harsh and demanding in their pursuit of pleasure, treating the women with little regard for their feelings or dignity. The men's arrogance knew no bounds, and they flaunted their wealth with arrogance, offering to pay for the women's companionship, their voices dripping with condescension. It was at this juncture that Suyu, their friend, sat with them. Her radiant smile and ethereal beauty caught their attention, and her sudden appearance breathed an uncanny life into the room, dispelling the tension that had lingered in the air. George, ensnared by Suyu's enchanting allure, found himself irresistibly drawn to her. Her beauty was unparalleled, a vision of perfection that defied belief. In his eyes, she was the epitome of desirability, an unattainable dream come to life. The group of friends, now accompanied by their chosen women, left the bar and made their way to the hotel next door where they were staying. As they parted ways to their respective rooms, their anticipation hung heavy in the air. But as the night deepened, George, who had been captivated by Tsuyu, found himself alone with her in his room. The allure of her beauty was a siren's call, and he couldn't resist it. As he began undressing himself, Tsuyu climbed on top of him and slowly revealed herself. George, who had closed his eyes, was enjoying every sensation until he got a glimpse of her true form. The man's eyes, filled with terror, met hers. He opened his mouth to let out a blood-curdling scream. Then her skeletal hand pressed against his trembling mouth, silencing him. Her fingers bore the essence of death, a death that would soon become intimately acquainted with his very soul. And then, with a malevolence that transcended the mortal realm, she sealed their dreadful connection with a kiss. It was not the kiss of lovers, but the kiss of an entity that feasted upon life itself. As their lips met, a chilling darkness seemed to emanate from her, enveloping the man in a deadly embrace. The sensation was unlike anything he had ever known. It was a kiss that sapped not just the warmth from his body, but the very essence of his being. His eyes widened with unimaginable agony, and he convulsed in an attempt to escape. The room seemed to close in around them, the air heavy with the weight of impending doom. The man's once vibrant complexion drained of color, leaving behind a lifeless husk. His screams, at first filled with terror, were gradually silenced as the last of his vitality were cruelly drained away. In those moments, the man's existence was extinguished. His once animated body now lay limp, a mere vessel drained of its life force. Tsuyu, her lips still tainted with the essence of stolen life, withdrew from the lifeless form before her. The scream had reverberated through the hotel. The friends rushed to the source of the sound, their hearts pounding with dread. Before them stood Tsuyu, or what had once been Tsuyu, now transformed into the ghastly figure. Her skeletal form sent shivers of dread down their spines, and the realization of their impending doom washed over them like a tidal wave. Beside her lay the lifeless body of their friend, drained of all vitality, a mere shell of his former self. The truth was clear now. They were in the presence of a malevolent force beyond their comprehension. She was the Hone Onna. Centuries ago, Tsuyu, once a mortal woman, had been married to a man who had betrayed her in the cruelest way imaginable. Unable to bear children, Tsuyu's husband had sold her into a wretched life in a brothel. A decision that would seal her fate. In her darkest hour, Tsuyu had found solace in the friendship of another woman named Kion, and together they had hatched a plan to escape their miserable existence. But Tsuyu was once again betrayed. Kion, driven by her own desires and ambitions, slept with her husband. She revealed their escape plans to the very man who had sold her into this life. That night, as Tsuyu slept, her husband had snuffed out her life, his hands stained with her blood. Her lifeless body had been cast into the very river that now flowed silently beside the hotel, becoming one with the souls of other unfortunate women who had met a similar fate. In that watery grave, their spirits had merged, giving birth to the vengeful yokai known as Hone Onna. Fueled by centuries of torment and anger, Hone Onna had dedicated herself to exacting vengeance upon the men who wronged her and for women who had met a similar fate as hers. Her methods of retribution were as varied as they were horrifying, each tailored to reflect the depth of her anger and the darkness of her past. As the men quivered with fear, the women who had accompanied them stepped forward, their eyes devoid of emotion. With unnatural strength, the women held the lifeless bodies down, their eyes glazed over with a sinister resolve. One by one, Hone Onna exacted her horrifying retribution upon the men, their deaths agonizing and gruesome, their pleas for mercy falling on deaf ears. For Alex, she embraced him with a bone-crushing hug, her bony fingers tightening around his body, crushing bones and organs until his life was extinguished. His body contorted in agony as his very essence was drained away. Then she turned her attention to Matt, her grip on his head unyielding. She squeezed until the world around him faded into a suffocating darkness, stealing away his sight, then his hearing, and finally, his ability to breathe. He was left to suffocate in a nightmarish void of his own making. As the men's lifeless bodies lay on the bed, the women who had accompanied them stepped forward once more, their faces still devoid of emotion. They had been complicit in this ritual, and they now bore the grim responsibility of disposing their remains. With a grim determination, they carried the lifeless bodies to the river, where the souls of the unfortunate women who had met a similar fate as Tsuyu awaited them. There, beneath the moonless sky, they joined the legacy of the yokai known as Hone Onna, their actions forever bound to the darkness that had consumed them all.